Hey, we are live. That's what it says, right?
Yeah, but I question the fact that we were actually alive. So questioning live is a whole other level.
Well, I'm going to answer the question. Say we are live. I'm Brent Leary,
And I'll answer the other question saying, and we also are alive, and I'm Paul Greenberg.
and we are the CRM Playaz. Look, whenever LinkedIn says that we're live, we're live. So there it is. We're live
The ultimate authority.
in Vegas. We're back in Vegas, man. But we're here for a good reason. We like being in Vegas for PegaworldInspire.
Well,
right?
aside from the fact we're one of the positives is we're not at the Venetian or the Palazzo. That's a big positive.
I kind of like the Venetian. There's nothing wrong with the
No, I
Venetian.
actually like the Palazzo better.
All right, well,
But-
Venetian, Palazzo, Venetian.
And MGM Grand, where we are now, has better restaurants than all of them, though. But you also have to.
But I do have a bone to pick. You know what the bone is, but I'm not
Yes, I
going to
do.
pick it on. I'm not going to pick it
you
on camera.
could. We don't mind.
I'm not going to do that
Okay.
because we're at PegaworldInspire. We should feel inspired. We
Well, I know we're inspired by the guests.
I don't
we
know
have
why I'm
right
doing
now.
this.
We're definitely inspired by the two of them.
Absolutely. Well, before we bring them
no,
on,
we're not there.
yeah, we're not there yet, but we are. We have Pega guests galore, 5 or 6.
4.
It's almost like that. or 4. But I felt like LeBron James. It's like not 2, not 3, not anyway. No, we got some great guests coming up for you. This is really cool that we're doing. We got a backdrop. What is this thing supposed to be called again?
Wait, this is. I don't know what this is called. That's just called a backdrop.
No, there's like a stand and pose or something.
No, this was stepping.
I'm not going to say fetch it.
Oh God Almighty!
Not going to do that.
That's in line with. That's in line with Gillett. No, I mean,
No, we better move
We're
forward. No, this is cool. We're glad to be back. It's Pega World live and in Technicolor for the first time in 4 years, right?
Yeah, I'm glad we're here though, and as we have seen, given the universe of generative AI that none of us could escape, Pega smartly figured it out, moved it forward, and that's actually been the interesting aspect to me. But just being around is really nice. You know what it is? It's really nice to see somebody like Don Sherman in person again.
It really is. Or to see Joe do her thing,
Although the one thing I did find out though is the layer cakes are a much smaller band now. They only have 4, and
we need to recruit somebody.
Well, I actually tried to recruit our guests.
Yeah,
One of our guests already to them, but they said the problem is UK.
I don't see that as a problem.
I don't either. So, I will say this: as you will all find out soon.
Yeah, very soon.
He's got a fan base with us already, so we're going to go recruit him to Layer Cakes, who won, if you remember, BYOB 2020. Bring your own.
That's true.
2020.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we just bring our guests? We've got 2 guests.
Okay.
One that we've both known for quite a while, and one that we're just getting introduced to. And if you watch his videos, you're going to like both of them. I think so. All right, bringing them up. I want to make sure I got their titles right because they're kind of similar, but just a little different. James Dodkins, who is the Director of Product Marketing for Customer Service. He's going to join us sitting next to me and sitting next to you. This is somebody we've known for a while through multiple stops.
Yes, you're right.
Multiple stops.
God.
That's right. And his name is one of those that I think he's the only Fortuné in the industry.
In the world.
Maybe not in the world, but definitely in the industry.
Other than a Greek goddess, I think it is. Not a god. I think there's a Greek goddess of fortune is Fortuné.
Well, it's Fortuné Alexander,
right?
Who is the Senior Director of Product Marketing, Customer Service for Pega. So, guys, join us. Get yourself mic'd up.
All right.
Here's your mic, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Likewise. Good to see you.
All right.
It's nice to be in person.
You're not kidding.
They did the bro hug. I'm good with just the handshake.
I've been working on that with him for 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't gotten far yet.
That's okay. All right. First of all, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time to kind of help us do the show here. We're in Vegas. We need help. You've got like a stage presence. and then he says nothing.
Was that the end of?
That was the end of the show.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't a question. It was just a statement.
Okay. All right, Jay. Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself. We got the title, but there's more to you than just the title.
Yeah, there's a little bit. So for the guys watching at home, if you've not seen my stuff before, make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn because I make lots of video content. If you like mediocre, average video content, I'm your guy. So I used to have a music career, so I played guitar in a heavy metal band, I toured the world, released albums, all that good stuff. So it used to be an actual legitimate award-winning rock star, but now I'm not. That's okay.
You still got the awards, though, right?
Yeah.
So wait, what awards were those?
They weren't very good ones.
It doesn't matter.
Or else I would have named them. It was the band won like best newcomer.
That's a
magazines.
good award.
That's a
What are
big
you
award.
kidding?
Yeah, like top 10 metal band.
Oh, how are those not good awards?
Well, because they were in magazines no one's ever heard of. So,
Like what?
Okay.
Oh, all right.
there you go. Well, this is taking an interesting turn.
You got the Axe, metal magazine. Is that right?
I mean, that sounds good. If it doesn't exist, we should.
We'll make it up. Okay.
Yeah, I think you won that one for best band.
If we're the judges, you won.
Fantastic. But yeah, so a lot of times I talk about how to turn customers into fans using lessons from the music world, not just stories from my band because that wouldn't be very good because I've got maybe like 2.
Well, I'm going to ask you about something I saw on your channel, but turn to Fortune. Fortune, now we've known you for a while,
Yeah.
but give the folks a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. Fortuné Alexander. Everyone always asks about the name. How did you pronounce it? What is it? It's a French name. It's an old family name. Part of my family's from France. And
Pardon your French, in other words.
It's kind of New Orleans.
well, I grew up in Gulfport, Mississippi, which is just down the road from New Orleans. So yeah, they moved down from New
Wait a
Orleans.
minute, but isn't it just Mississippi? Isn't that how you say it back down there?
Mississippi. Here's the odd thing about Mississippi is the further south you go, the less accent you have. The Delta is where the accent is really thick.
So in the north
Yeah.
of Mississippi, so to speak?
Yes. Mississippi Delta is where they have the
Nice.
really heavy accent. And most people don't understand when I say I'm from Mississippi. I grew up sailing. They're like, oh, sailing? What? Gulf of Mexico.
So how do you go from Mississippi? What did you want to be when you were sitting around when you were young in Mississippi, sailing?
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. I wanted to live in Paris and be an international businessman. That was about as big of an ambition. And I accomplished both those things. So I did live in France for a while. I lived in Norway. I met my wife and we lived 10 years in Europe. And
Wow.
so we had quite the journey.
Wow. So how do you end up at Pega?
Gosh, that's a great question. Well, as you...
that question too, by the way.
As you guys know, really got into the CX space at Oracle, and really good friends with Jeff Wartgo, and loved to rub it in his face that they lost the battle of the bands. But then had some friends at Pega as well, and decided to make that leap, and been here 3 years.
Yeah, that's right. 3 years. Holy cow.
Dude, all right. So I was on your YouTube channel. And you did this really interesting, I think it was one of your later videos, where you actually, over the span of like 9 or 10 minutes, you created, using all these AI tools, you created a rap, and it looked like and sounded like Snoop Dogg was rapping about CX. Well, first of all, why did you do that?
Why not? Because I can. Well, no. So what it was, there is a precursor to that video. So I put out a video on LinkedIn where I explained that I made a bot listen to 1,000 hours of Nickelback, Bring Me the Horizon, and Linkin Park, and then write a brand new, unique song based on those inputs. I played the song, I put it out there, and the feedback was interesting. A lot of people really liked it. A lot of people really hated it. A lot of people were quite scared. A lot of people were quite excited. Some people were disgusted. But the interesting thing was, it wasn't real. No. It was a social experiment.
Did people think it was real though?
Yep.
Wow.
That was the point. I wanted to see how many people would believe that it was real because of how quickly and how impressively AI was evolving. I was like, let's see how many people. Because 5 months ago, no one would have believed it. They would have gone, haha, very funny joke, James, and carried
First of
on.
all, it would have sounded terrible.
Well, yeah, that as well. But the thing is, there was some people that I think some of the best comments were, it sounds like 5 anime openings simultaneously.
Wow.
I had to immediately cleanse my ear palate with the Beatles.
Wow.
Okay.
So, multiple things. Some I won't mention. If you do want to check them out, check out my LinkedIn because there was some close to the line comments. But the thing is, you might be thinking, oh, well, that's interesting. So if AI didn't actually write the song, who did? Take a guess. It was me. It was my song.
So you wrote it.
Yeah, it was from my band, my current band.
Oh.
So you had them singing your music.
Yeah, so it was. So the AI never wrote a song. It was all made up. It was a lie. I'm a liar. Because I just wanted to see how many people, and I needed a song, so I was just like, well, I'll use a song from my band. And luckily, because I spent a lot of my life in the music industry, I've developed a thick skin, so those comments weren't soul destroying at all.
It didn't bother you a bit.
But so where the Snoop Dogg video came from is I posted another video confessing, letting people know that look, it wasn't real. It was just a social experiment. You cannot do that with AI right now. You cannot just give it some songs and get it to write a unique song based on that input. But I wanted to show people what you could do with AI. I wanted to show you how AI could be used to create songs. So that's what I did. I went to ChatGPT. I asked it to write rap lyrics about customer experience to at least make it somewhat customer experience-y. I used something called SoundRaw to generate an AI beat. And I used something called UberDuck to get the Snoop Dogg rap voice, which, if you haven't heard it, it's good, isn't it?
It's pretty good.
It is good. But then I think the most important part of this is it still needed me as a human to put the bits together. It couldn't do it by itself. And I think with all of this AI hype at the moment, we need to understand that it would all be nothing if it weren't for humans still. Yes. Humans still need to be there to prompt it and to put it together and to monitor it and to make sure it's doing the things you need it to do. So go watch the video, it's good.
Okay, now let's take that one and carry that forward a little.
Yeah.
Because I know most of the tech world is being very careful about how they position any generative AI. And it's like, well, if you look at, say, Microsoft and Adobe, it's Copilot, right? Other vendors are talking about Augment, right, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't you carry the thinking around that a little forward in terms of how Pega is looking at it? Because the other thing you guys, and I always have found to be, I think your actual greatest differentiator is autonomous enterprise, even though Oracle also talks about it. But you guys, I remember being on a stage with Jeff Nicholson talking about it, like, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Yeah, the Roaring 20s. Remember that article? Yeah. I think you were in that one with Jeff Nicholson, and I'm glad we're giving him credit because he has been talking about this for a while, and he was kind of, at Pega at least, kind of one of the early ones to push this autonomous enterprise. It's absolutely something that we see. You can take it pretty far, but most industries and most use cases aren't ready to do lights out full automation. And there is a little bit, I think, of hesitancy on some leaders where in private they will say, yes, I want to reduce my contact center headcount 50% in the next 3 years. They won't say that out loud, but there are people who are thinking that way. But how we see it as it's really, the augment really is the way that I think is the more immediate use case, not to replace the human, at least for, complex work. And then there's also emotive use cases. If you think about care navigation, you think about my mom or an elderly patient who, needs to go get a procedure done. They don't want to have a chatbot interaction. They need that reassuring human voice on the other end. That doesn't mean AI and automation is not right next to that care provider, helping navigate the scheduling and the appointments. All that can be done in an automated way, but still having the human voice on the other end. And that's kind of how we see it in a lot of industries. Same with wealth management. You're not going to make a multi-million-dollar financial decision based on some chatbot on the other end. Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point because I think there's a lot of companies, and they think they've got like millions of processes, but they don't. They've got millions of scenarios. They've maybe got like 20 processes. You've got lots of different scenarios. And for me, like looking holistically at customer experience, it's about understanding which of those scenarios are transactional and which ones are emotional. Changing your address, transactional. Changing your payment date, transactional. That should just get done like that. There should be no human interaction at all. But claiming on like a parent's life insurance policy, for example, that's an emotional experience that has got a very different use case for AI and automation. It's not about just making it happen as quickly as possible to save costs. It's about using it to help the people focus on delivering that empathetic experience to the customers in the moment that they need it. And I think that's probably one of my biggest worries with this, that companies are going to see it as purely as a way to reduce costs. And it's not that it can't do that. It can reduce costs. If you do it properly, it will reduce costs.
Right.
But if you do it in the wrong places, in the long run, it's also going to reduce your revenue because you're not going to have any customers because they're going to leave, because it's like such an impersonal experience. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something we all need to be like really mindful of.
Well, are you seeing a lot of your customers approach it kind of in that fashion?
Ours, of course not.
Are you seeing people particularly from a customer service kind of, is that the thing that's drawing their attention to this, as opposed to, wow, if we can bring this in, wow, we can do things that we may have never been able to do because now we freed our people up to be able to think a little bit more about this, as opposed to focusing on, kind of the mundane routine. That some of these technologies are great at, taking the load off of that.
Yeah, we see a ton of interest in this, but it's fun working in product marketing because you're always talking about the latest and greatest and the newest and the Pega Gen AI. And what you realize, especially at PegaWorld, when you talk to a lot of customers, they're excited about it, but they're still trying to crawl and walk before they run. So we still have people who, want this, but, there's a lot, we're talking about the largest, most complex companies in the world. That's the ones that Pega really serves. And so there's a lot of modernization and a lot of these clients that they still need to do to get to that point. That's what we're seeing right now.
Actually, that brings up something that just occurred to me. Years ago, also, and it actually goes back to Jeff Nicholson again, you guys actually built into your existing AI, the AI you had at that time, mm-hmm. You had empathetic AI.
Right.
And actually, you were unique, at least in calling it that. Others may have had something similar here and there. But that, I presume, is still built into your AI.
It is, and that's one of the themes. And I watched you guys last week, and I know a lot of the other vendors. I was on there with a couple of folk, but I know this is a similar story that you're hearing from others, but it's absolutely true. We're not new to the AI game. We've had AI for a long, long time, as Alan talked in the keynotes. And generative AI is just another component in the AI toolbox. It's a powerful one. It's one we can't ignore, and one that we've already positioned to bring features to the market this in Q3. But it doesn't replace the AI that we've had for a very long time.
And it also, it would be interesting to hear both your takes on this, which would be, how does, especially given what you're talking about, emotive, mm-hmm. The emotive side of the processing, how the empathetic AI could work in conjunction with the generative AI. Because again, you have that sort of, to me, it's been, you're the only company I've seen who has spoken to that directly.
I don't know, what it makes me think of is less about the sort of dichotomy between them and more about the understanding that AI alone isn't really enough, right? No matter what it is. You need that automation as well. Like if I go to ChatGPT and say, what would be a good restaurant or bar, for example, because that's got, what would be a nice restaurant to take my wife to for her birthday, which is on Wednesday.
Happy birthday.
Bring her something back, man.
Yeah, I promised I wouldn't have a good time in Vegas. So thanks.
You already broke one rule last night. He told me last week, he said, all right, we're going to Las Vegas. Got a lot of important things to do there. no alcohol. I'm going to go teetotal. I said, James, I'll join you. Last night at the reception, what is he holding in his hand?
I had one light beer, which doesn't count.
No, it doesn't.
And when it was empty, I carried it around with me everywhere so that people didn't think I was a loser.
You know what you could have done? You could have just a glass of really crappy whiskey, and that wouldn't have been.
I don't really like whiskey. I know it's not very rock starry of me, but especially crappy whiskey.
Light beer and you don't like whiskey. My impression of you is really.
I actually quite like fruity cocktails.
Oh, so
Really?
moving on.
And what do you like?
Because I just said it live.
I'm trying to be a good teetotaler, at least at this event.
fair
So, but I do like Coke Zero, and I could only find Diet Coke, which
I
tastes
know.
terrible.
Coke Zero's, anyway.
I can't remember what I was saying, but I'm sure it was very interesting. No, that
Your
was
wife's
it.
birthday's on
Yes.
Right.
So if I say, where should I take my wife for her birthday? It would give me a restaurant suggestion. I go, fantastic. Book me a table. It'll go, I can't do that. I can't actually do anything. Whereas, so the AI, it's interesting, but if you're trying to use it in an organization, you've got like millions of things happening every single day. You want the automation paired with it as well, the unification of AI and automation, so that it can decide something or create something and then go away and actually do something with it. So if I say, am I able to change my payment date to the 2nd of the month? It should be able to say yes. Do you want to do it? I should be able to say yes, and it should be able to just go and do it, not actually have to pass it on to a human. And it's those transactional things that should just be happening in the background to deliver those easy, convenient, fast
Right there with you.
experiences for customers that we're all experiencing now and demanding.
One of the things that is unique, we were talking about empathetic AI, and I wanted to circle back to that question, that point. One of the use cases that Karim didn't get into the details in the keynote that I'm really excited about with PegaGen AI is we can have a virtual customer train up new CSRs using ChatGPT, and you can assign it a personality. Be a belligerent customer who's calling the contact center to complain about this and don't take the answer, when given. And then you can run your new CSRs through all these scenarios any time of day on their own time and then score them. And this is a real use case that we're bringing to help new CSRs and even seasoned ones. Hey, you didn't respond the best way here. You could have handled it a little bit better. So that's a real interesting, back to James's scenario of, in this case, the AI is real and it's kind of.
Well, actually, to your point there, I was literally just thinking that because one of the things you could theoretically do, especially given they have things like best next action and things like that. And by the way, again,
Notice how you said
I
best.
did.
I was
Yeah,
very careful
not
about
next.
saying it that way.
Yeah,
keep doing that. The reason being, if you say next best action, which most people do, that means the second best action, right? Where best next action, which I was taught by Pitney Bowes, actually, is actually the way to put it. It's the best next
He's
action.
still alive? Really?
No, only Pitney. Bowes left the earth a long
All
time
right, I got a question.
Wait, let me finish.
Oh, you got to finish.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing
So-
business.
So here's the thing. What occurred to me was exactly that, because technically in customer service, because again, you guys were also autonomous customer service was another one of your big pushes. But in customer service, for example, using some sort of generative AI, they could say, hey, I'm working with, they're literally a live agent could be working with a customer saying, hey, I need this information at this time. And then theoretically, with the integration of empathetic AI, who's also potentially looking at things like the mood of the customer at that moment,
Absolutely.
come back and say, well, you do that, and look, it will probably make the customer more belligerent. I mean, it's speculative a little bit, but given that generative AI hallucinates, a little speculation shouldn't be so bad, right? So you see what I'm getting at?
Absolutely, and that's another. And I know others are talking about this as well. So other people in the space are doing it. But another thing that's really cool about generative AI in your chat exchange. So if you're having a messaging conversation in the contact center, sometimes agents don't say things the right way.
Right.
And it can suggest before it sends, hey, the tone is a little off. Why don't you say this instead? You can just hit, yep, I'll say that.
Yep.
And so you're making the agent not make that customer more frustrated.
I think that's a great use case.
Can we go back to Snoop Dogg?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Wouldn't it be kind of cool if you called, you had a service problem, you called the 800 number, and Snoop Dogg was the one helping? Are we getting close to that?
So it's a really interesting question, and I don't actually know the legalities of it. because there are music artists like Grimes. Grimes used to be married to Elon Musk, if you don't know. She has said, you can use my voice for any tracks. She's released a model of it that can be used, and she'll split the revenue 50-50 with people. They'll do a royalty split. But there's other people, like, there was a song put out that was The Weeknd and someone else who I can't remember. But the record label had that taken down, so that it wasn't them. It was an AI version of their voice. So someone had created a song with an AI version of their voice. Now it brings up quite a lot of questions when it comes to that, because an AI is essentially, well, I don't know the answer to this. Let's say I was really, really good at doing a Snoop Dogg impression, right? And a company paid me to record that. Is that illegal because it sounds a bit like him? Is the AI doing an impression of Snoop Dogg, or is AI actually using the specific sound? I don't know the answer to that, but it is a really interesting question. Are we going to get to the point where companies can just spoof voices of famous people? Like, what would it be called if Morgan Freeman did you? That'd be great. Apart from it would make people want to call in more, which is stuff. But I don't know the legalities of it. Good question.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's one of those things. All right. What do companies need to do? They're excited about this stuff. They're interested, what have you. What do they need to do to actually do it right? I mean, what things do they have to have in place, organizationally, and the right things that they have to have their employees do? What are the things that they're going to need to really take advantage of all the stuff we just talked about?
Brent, I think you're leading the witness, because I just came out of a breakout session with a Belgian telco provider, Telenet.
I knew that.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. And we were just talking about the same thing. He said, some of the pain that we've had going through our journey is not the technology, it's the people side, because the most seasoned and heroes in the contact center, the people who knew all the workarounds and how to get around the 5 and 6 different systems they were using. And when you take that away and implement a Pega customer service system that can orchestrate all those systems, and it takes all that, alt tabbing and green screen, all that other stuff, and just pushes it away, then they don't have all those back doors, and they feel, he said, the new service reps get it instantly, and the change management is great because they're on guardrails. They're kind of like guided through the whole process. The old reps hate it because then they can't do all the magic and the workarounds that they could before. So I think there's a big element, it's been around since, I don't know, probably before the 80s. It used to be people, process, and technology. Okay, every project talked about that, and leadership, But I feel like that still holds water if you think about the nature of humans and how we change or we don't want to change, and who's leading the change. And the other thing Brett said in that session that I think companies need to do is get their business leaders fully aware of what this change means and how it's going to work. Don't just have IT drive it. And we know this. A lot of people say it, but I think even he didn't say it, but I think they probably, if they could do it again, would have gone back and done a little bit more executive education around what was actually going to change.
Yeah, it's not a technology issue, it's a people issue. The people, what they need to do is just buy Pega. And then it's solved, problem solved.
That was nice and subtle.
How many people can afford to acquire Pega?
But one of the things Alan touched on it in the keynote, and I'm really glad he did, because I think it's what makes Pega quite unique, is having this centralized AI and workflow engine. So you're not coding process and logic in your backend systems. You're not coding it in channels, and your self-service isn't one process, and it's all the same workflow running all the channels. That's what gives you that context. And they called in, the agent doesn't have to ask them who they are, what they've done. They see it, they know it instantly. So that's really the power of Pega, and that center out business architecture, is that ability to not have to code in different places and not code at all. It's a low code platform.
I thought that was, we go to a lot of these events, a lot of different vendor events. That was the first time somebody talked about, it's great that all, this stuff makes it easy for you to create all this new content and new stuff. But think about it. That's creating a whole bunch of stuff. And the more you create, the more you really need some kind of structure to actually utilize it in some way. And that's the thing I think that stood out the most from Alan's keynote today is you guys are thinking kind of maybe a couple of steps further down the road than what we've been picking up in other events.
Yeah, this notion of having ChatGPT write code, Alan said it, is that really what you want? You don't have this kind of, I love the wording he used, the vantage point, the high ground, to be able to see what's going on. And I don't want to use a war analogy, but on the battlefield or whatever, you know clearly, and that's what the layer cake does, is it gives you this layered approach to building software where you can componentize and reuse and have the same process running in 3 different regions and just have a variation on the process.
So where does all this go in 3 years for Pega?
Great question. I got energized by hearing Alan this morning talk about, developers going to be able to do twice as much as they do today. And I believe that's true because generating new workflows, you ask for a suggested starting point, ChatGPT gives it to you.
Yeah. Anything for you?
No, I think in 3 years, it's a fairly short period of time. But of course, AI is progressing quite a lot, so we'll all be augmented robot humans. This won't be. There'll just be AI versions of us. And
you will be sounding like Snoop Dogg.
Yes, I will be saying
And
my
the good news is we want to actually be in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll all be sat at home with headsets on. I, for one, want to say that I am very happy with my new AI overlords. So.
All right. I think we got 2 questions. You know what the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Each of you, what are the couple of things that you want Pega customers who came here, who are going to be here throughout the 3 days, what do you want them to leave, take home with them? Each of you, if you can answer that.
For me, it's less about talking to us and it's more about talking to other customers that are using this stuff and have used the stuff. What went well, what didn't went well, what were the hurdles, what were the challenges, what are the successes, and learn from it. Because of course we're going to say it's great because it is. But of course we're going to say that. But talking to people that have actually used it and they're in very similar positions to them, I think that is probably the single most valuable thing anyone at PegaWorld can do.
Yeah. A little bit closer to my neck of the woods, I want folks to understand that we have a composable and complete customer experience platform. We have some amazing products hardly anyone hears about, like sales automation. Pega doesn't do a lot of big marketing. I think you guys know that. We kind of operate under the radar, and our clients know and love the architecture and the platform. But we do have this composable platform for sales automation, for customer service, customer decision hub, powering. Other people are talking about using ChatGPT to create segments in marketing. We don't do segment marketing anymore. We do one-to-one marketing, and we have been, and we're the leader in that. So, I think that we do so many things well, in so many different areas, especially in the back office, that we have a very powerful front office capability set. And even with our own clients, we have to remind them, hey, we're the leader in sales automation when you look at Gartner critical capabilities last couple of years. So really strong customer experience suite of products that just want to make sure we get our airtime.
Thank you, Cordian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We come to the last one.
Yeah, this is the big one.
I had Fortuné on. We did a few good minutes. Not even that long ago. I don't recall asking this question.
Do you ever ask that question?
I typically do, but I don't recall asking this. But so we're gonna go to him first because you're a complete blank slate. I have no idea how you're gonna answer this. This has been a great conversation. First of all, thanks for doing it. And your answers on this next question really determines if we'll ever speak to you guys again. So, not to put any pressure on you.
Right.
All right, Fortuné, are you an NFL fan? I don't recall if you.
So I grew up down the road from New Orleans. And so I'm a Saints fan, but it was I grew up suffering. The Saints in my adulthood is another matter. My childhood was suffering.
Yeah, at least you got that one in. You got the one Super Bowl in.
Yeah.
All right. So we're good. So we will be glad to talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
James, now you're across the pond, as they say, right? Do you even pay attention to, I guess I'll say, American football?
No.
You know what? That's not the worst answer that you could have.
There's only one wrong answer.
Yeah.
What's the one wrong answer?
okay, since nobody else is here with us, because we
Yeah.
do have a couple other folks.
Yeah, well,
You can't tell.
okay.
There's
Sworn.
only one wrong answer, and that is the New England Patriots.
That is the wrong
Okay.
answer. You do that, we never will speak to you again.
Never
Okay.
speak to you
I
again.
hate those guys. Whoever they are.
Well, I think you might find a few of those folks
I
who
know.
like
I
it.
think we're-
Yeah.
We're aware of where the headquarters of Pega is, and we're aware of Alan's interest too.
Alan, let us know right off the top. And,
Yeah, he literally told us beforehand.
all right,
He
guys,
was pre-warned.
we know that the conference is still going on, and I'm sure you got things to do. Although I will say this.
You guys want to just hang out with us the rest of the day?
No, I'm
Okay.
fine. I'll hang
will
for a
say
while.
this. When they put you on our schedule and I saw your LinkedIn, I was a bit intimidated.
I think
Yeah, a little.
I've just got. It's a medical condition. It's HRF. That's what the condition's called, hostile resting face. So I'm so efficient as a human being that when my face isn't doing anything, all the muscles relax and just make me look super angry.
Because I tried to find a picture, because everybody else, you noticed that little promo thing?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else is smiling. Not him.
The problem is that when you know me, it's actually creepier when I smile. So the deadpan face is better.
You did do that series of AI photo shoots, right? That was interesting.
Oh, did you see that?
No.
Right, yeah, so I did tune into AI News where I read the news so you don't have to. So it was, I used, I forget what it was called. Do you remember?
I don't remember the
It was,
name.
it was an AI thing it was supposed to do like professional headshots. So I took a bunch of photos of myself, put it in, and it created some of the most horrific things I've ever seen. There was one where there was like an extra head. There was like two of them, and it looked like another me, sort of like hugging me.
I literally saw that movie.
God. Well, and on that rather interesting note, thanks again to James and Fortune for joining us. And we'll talk to you again. We got the answers we needed. We're looking forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And let me,
Pleasure.
It was a
let me
pleasure.
take your
Yeah.
mic so we
Yeah, let me
don't have any
turn
traffic.
the mic off.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks again, man. This is awesome.
All right.
That was fun.
Oh no, that was great.
By the way, we're still live.
Yeah, we.
All right. So y'all have Peter coming.
Yes. No.
Oh,
No,
I don't know.
no.
If, I know Tara.
Yeah.
We were told Peter, but then we heard he might not be able to make it. We're hopeful. Oh yeah, I'm hopeful. So
We'll find out.
we'll find out. But this was great. You got it off to a great start.
Oh my God, yeah, you guys killed it. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
All
Are
right.
y'all here the whole time, or y'all heading back?
Actually, so this is the first leg of the first ever CRM Players Vegas residency. So tomorrow we're actually going to be doing something similar at Verint's Engage conference, which is at the Bellagio.
Okay. And then after Barrett, y'all have another one?
Now then we.
Then we go home. Finally.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right.
All right.
Awesome. All right.
Pleasure.
Will we see you this evening? Are y'all hanging out this evening?
We're literally after
No.
we get
No.
done our last one, we're packing up and
Heading straight over
heading to
there.
Bellagio.
All right. Well, Tara's great. You'll enjoy her. Hopefully Peter can make it.
I hope so too. I spoke to Tara before, so I'm looking
All
forward
right,
to it.
guys.
All
A
right.
pleasure.
All right. Hey, that was great.
That was amazing.
That was so much fun, man. So let's see. Coming up, let me do this.
Well, here's the thing. We got 15 full minutes, so.
We can see what happens. We can play around. We can. All right. So coming up, actually at 3:00.
Oh, okay. So why don't we?
Why don't we?
end
Yeah,
the
we'll
show?
end this one and then we'll start back. So we will be back at the top of the hour, where we'll be talking to Tara DeZal and hopefully Peter Vanderput.
We hope,
We hope.
but at least Tara.
Yeah, Tara, absolutely. And Tara is, make sure I get this right, Director of Product Marketing for Ad Tech and MarTech
Wow,
at Pega. Yeah, she. I remember talking to her before. She covers both sides of that.
that's amazing.
And then Peter is the director of the Pega AI Labs. So that would be cool too. So hopefully we'll get them both. But check back in about 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes. We'll be right back.
Why don't we do? Well, why don't we do our close of this one?
Oh, okay.
So on behalf of
The James Dodkins
And for Tuna Alexander,
I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we will see you in 30 and 30. I know Chuck Woolley does 2 and 2. How do you do 30 and 30? I don't know. We'll see you later.